live on YouTube and Facebook. We are doing some exciting things with social media, a touch of peace. Today, we're introducing one of several groups that we'll be having online, free to the public. So, like, share, subscribe. We are having two groups right now during the summertime. This one is called Discovering Your Why. And we have another one called The Bridge that'll be focusing on depression and anxiety. And there'll be co-hosts with each one of these groups. So as we dove into discovering your why, I want to introduce you to your co-host, Corinza. Hey, Corinza, how you doing? You want to introduce yourself to the world? It's Corinza Houston.
Hi, as John said, I am Corinza Houston. I'm an intern here at A Touch of Peace Counseling. And this group was just something I thought about discovering your why and kind of finding the why behind certain patterns we have, decisions we make, um, and just how we cope with things, but understanding where it comes from.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to dive into your why, where it comes from, what it means for you, how to use it, all that good stuff. Today, we also have with us another co host who's going to join us, and her name is Latoya. Latoya, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with counseling, what your thoughts are about discovering your why.
Yeah, as John said, my name is Latoya. I am finishing up my internship and I'm on my way to licensing in the state of Alabama, so I'm really excited about that. I'm also a certified life and health coach, and discovering your why. Every behavior has a reason, and I think that looking at the purpose of the behaviors as well as our actions surrounding those behaviors, what is driving us, those motivating factors can help us to really discover and lead us to some great places on our healing journey as well as our journeys throughout life. So I'm really excited about joining this group. Really excited.
Okay, so as we dove into discovering our why, I want to kind of start off with telling my why. I think it's important, and of course, Corinza and Latoya, if you want to talk about discovering your why as we go throughout this series, I think it'd be really awesome to do. So my why really started as a young person. When I was a kid, especially teenager, I kind of went through a rebellious stage. And when I got to college doing my undergrad, I actually wanted to go into law. But as I was studying or matriculating through the college experience, I was taking some psychology courses, and the courses I was taking was really explaining some of the reasons why I made the choices that I was making, some especially some of the bad choices that I had made previous. And I said to myself, if I could only share what I've just learned with other young people prior to them making these choices, I bet you I can stop a lot of heartache and pain. And out of that was born my journey to psychology, my journey down this experience. So that's kind of been my why. And ever since, it has grown to really understand every facet of the field of psychology. But I have a question, and I'm going to direct this question to Corinza. Tell me a little bit about what a person could expect once they discover their why.
I think when you discover your why, it helps you make more informed choices. If the why is rooted in, I don't know, it could be a bad experience or just something that is it's a subconscious choice, You know, if you hoard food and you realize, oh wait, I did that because I don't feel like I had enough to eat when I was growing up. Or if I choose this type of person, oh wait, who does this person resemble in my life? Oh, this person's like my father or my uncle or who I thought my father or uncle was or who I wanted them to be. So those are the things that once we figure that out, sometimes we can make better choices or different choices. So that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow. So discovering your why is kind of like discovering yourself.
Right. A big
And
part of it.
right. And so once you can understand how you tick, then you can make corrections. Is that what I'm hearing?
If necessary.
Man, have you ever had an experience where you learned something about yourself, Latoya, and once you understood why you did it, you was able to make changes?
Absolutely. I would definitely call that the moment of like enlightenment. Some people call it insight. And when you do, as Corinne said, make that discovery, it opens up a whole new world of understanding for you. It allows you to not only discover actually why you're making those choices or you're doing those things, but you can start to make changes. And obviously, change takes time, but there's a consciousness that comes now that you're aware. For me, it's something that is a gentle reminder because there are times when you may find yourself maybe getting ready to repeat a behavior or pattern, even if it's the same. Like, why do I say that? Where does that come from? And you'll have those gentle reminders that'll serve as those marker points and those places where you can kind of see this is why I do it, and I'm starting to make measurable change toward changing it if necessary, as Corinne said.
So let's make that make sense to the laymen that are listening. So we have our chat that's out there, those that are listening that may not have gone through the counseling experience who is able to understand the lingo per se. Can you give me some simple way of being able to start this journey of understanding your why? Like, what is the first thing I need to think about or do or say to start or initiate this journey?
Yeah, I would definitely say one of the first things is awareness, right? If I don't know that this is a behavior that I am repeating, it's something that is coming from, it's something that's subconscious, I would definitely say it's awareness. So if you are, let's say, as Corinne said earlier, you find yourself, you realize you're hoarding food. I think starting with questioning, like, why do I have so much food in my home? Like, why is that? So giving yourself the opportunity, allowing yourself to be challenged in your own thinking, and also challenging yourself. You can ask yourself something as simple when it comes to shoes. I really like shoes. But why do I like shoes so much, right? And we kind of had a side conversation earlier about it. For some people, shoes are a symbol of status, wealth, right? Because when they may have been younger, they may not have been able to get some of those nicer shoes. And so that's what I mean when I say allowing yourself to question certain things that you're doing. That awareness is what really opens up the door for you. So allowing yourself to question some of the decisions you're making, especially those decisions that you find yourself repeating, those patterns that you're repeating. It can be in relationships. If you find yourself, as we were discussing earlier, dating, the same kind of guy or the same kind of girl who
Yeah.
reminds you of somebody.
Mhm.
Why do I keep picking this partner? Or why do I keep having the same kinds of issues in a relationship? I feel like I can never get this right. Why is that? So it's that awareness that comes by just questioning certain things that you're noticing in your life.
Because sometimes we are not aware of the problem. We
Right.
call that pre-contemplation.
Yeah.
You are not aware of the problem, so you're just moving along with life, and the problems that come up,
Yeah.
You don't know where they're coming from. You just know you have problems. Sometimes you may say, I'm unlucky, or someone's out to get me, or things never go my way. That's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
And that is our way of explaining what we can't see, is by just writing it off as this is just karma or the circumstances we're in. But we know, Corinza, that there is cause and effect.
Absolutely.
There is a cause. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And something that we're doing contributes to what we're receiving. Talk a little bit about that, Corinza. Tell me a little bit about this cause and effect versus life is just throwing me a bag of wood nickels.
Yes. And again, Latoya and I were talking before we went live, but what came to mind when you were talking was those people who say, well, I can't keep it up. And it's always somebody else's fault. It's the boss he doesn't respect me. He was talking crazy. Or people don't, my coworkers are lazy. It's always somebody else. But we have to begin to look at ourselves. It's always something. And if we are the common denominator, then it's time to look at us. Turn that mirror. Okay, now what is it that I'm doing? What is a pattern that I'm seeing here? And I think too, what I was thinking of when you were giving your answer is that, with young people, not just young people, I'm noticing that nowadays everybody has anxiety. Everybody is anxious. Okay, but let's go deeper. Why? What is the feeling attached to that? Yes, anxiety, but I think that it's kind of a catchphrase these days. But what is it when you feel anxious? What do you notice before that? What happened? Were you doing a certain thing? Was a certain person around? Was there a certain scenario? And so looking at that, and that's what we want to get beyond is, well, it's always been this way, or this is the way I've always done it. We want to get beyond that. But why have you done it that way? And if the reason you've done it that way is because someone else told you should, then that's something we can look into. Because, we're all individuals and we can make our own decisions. And sometimes if we know better, we can do better. Once we know something different, we can do something different. Because it's like, what is it? You don't know what you don't know.
Mm, for sure. For sure. So we are looking at going from pre contemplation to awareness, or what we would call contemplation. So, is there an exercise? Is there a tool that the chat can use to? We've already talked about identifying the odd behaviors. If you are just blaming everyone, if you are just writing it off as life is just throwing you a curveball all the time, more than likely you are in the pre-contemplation stage of that issue. So now that you know what to look for to identify that you are in pre-contemplation, there's something out there giving you a problem that you're not aware of. What is a tool that the chat can use to allow them to start to become aware of the idea that they may be doing something or contributing to these negative responses?
Well, like Latoya said, that it's that awareness, that self-awareness. So you have to be honest with yourself and begin to look at yourself and look deeply and say, okay, is this me? Are they talking about me? Is this not, anything that we've said so far has resonated with you, it might be you. And it doesn't necessarily need to be something bad. It can be something that's just not serving you well. If you get to the point where you don't have money to pay your own bills, that's a problem. So then why do you do that?
So what can I do to become aware? Like, yes, I realize I'm not paying my bills, but I don't know why I'm not paying my bills. I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do when I get my check, or I don't see a solution. I see all these bills, and I have more money than I have bills, and everything that I have, I feel like is necessary. What do you do then when it feels like there is no other option?
Well, there's another option.
There's another option.
Absolutely another option. Because
So
if you have the money and you're saying that your bills are less than what you have going out, the bills, not the dinners, the clothes, the shoes, the cars, but if your necessities are well covered by your bills by your income, and you have plenty of money left over, then you need to look at yourself and say, what do I need?
what if your income what if your income doesn't match your perceived necessity?
Then you need to relook at your needs, your perceived needs, and then maybe that's when you need to talk to someone and see if you can get someone to help you.
I like that.
To look at those, look at what you've got going on, and sometimes a fresh set of eyes can help.
I tell my clients all the time, you can only see yourself in one dimension. You only can see what what's being projected to you, or what you're saying. But others can see you in two dimensions. They can see everything around you. And so if you want to get out of that pre-contemplation stage, you got to open yourself up to wise counsel. You need someone that you trust to take and look at what you got going on to see where your choices are interfering with your goals. Latoya, so what about you? Is there any tools that you can think of that you could give to the chat when it comes to just getting out of the pre-contemplation stage?
Yeah, I would definitely say sometimes we have to get to the end of ourselves, especially as we talk about awareness, because you can spend a lot of time in pre-contemplation. You can spend a lot of time in pre-contemplation. But when you have recognized that there is that awareness, you recognize that there is something going on, that you contribute to the patterns of behavior that seem to be reoccurring in your life. You've done as much as you can do. I would call that getting to the end of yourself. And sometimes being one dimensional and seeing ourselves, we can only go so far. And so that wise counsel would be the next step. So if I know that I am making not the best decisions when it comes to relationships, but I can't seem to get out of this loop, right? Now I may need to seek individual counsel, because I may need to talk about what the things that I'm noticing within myself, and even in the relationships, how I'm contributing to them. If I'm struggling financially, I may need financial counsel. I may need somebody to come in and help me with looking at how to reassess my needs versus my wants, right? If I'm in a place where I'm struggling with career decisions, I may need vocational counseling. You have so many different areas of counsel that you have subject matter experts in. And so I would say moving from pre-contemplation is seeking out that counsel, and seeing if they offer what you need, right? If it's marriages, families, there's so many different ways and so many different opportunities for you to actually go beyond yourself and seek counsel. So somebody, as you said, can see you, doesn't know you, and they can actually look at you from the multidimensional perspective that you are.
For sure. Now, I have to mention, let me take a moment to mention and just give some of the credentials that we have in this panel. And also a disclaimer that this is not to replace any therapeutic resources that you may have out there. This is for entertainment purposes, even though we are talking about real life and real things. And just to introduce myself, my name is John Ruffin, and I am a licensed professional counselor. Corinza and Latoya both are interns. Latoya is just finishing up her internship, which is a master's level internship in the field of psychology. And Corinza is at the last stages of finishing up her studies and so forth. And they both are in the process of becoming licensed professional counselors. I want to also turn to well, first, I want to give a tool that I use when trying to identify or coming out of the pre-contemplation stage. And for me, it's the process of elimination. So I know I have a problem. I can't really figure out what that problem is. I've talked to people, but I'm still bumping my head against the wall. I find myself just having a difficult time really honing in on what the issue is. I do a process of elimination. You can do this either from a all to nothing or from a nothing to all type of position. So an all to nothing is I start removing one thing at a time that may contribute to the situation at hand. So if I'm constantly getting into it with coworkers, I'm going to do a process of elimination. You know, I'm going to look at my day and I'm going to look at things that may have contributed to my grumpy disposition. And so, you know, maybe first thing I do is separate home life from work life. Then the second thing I may do is separate myself from angry people and happy people. Then the third thing I may do is separate myself from political conversations or religious conversations or any conversation that has a tendency to trigger me. And I will start a process of elimination and then measure how my responses are with that situation removed out of my environment. Now, going from nothing to something, sometimes you have to just remove everything and slowly add things back into your environment. So let's say financially, okay, we're going to cut off, we're going to go on a spending freeze. If it's not the bare minimum, if it's not directly for survival, we're going to do without it. So we're going to cut off the Netflix. We're going to cut off the fast food. We're going to cut off the going out, the extra trips. We're going to carpool. We're going to turn out the lights. We're going to get, we might buy a filter instead of bottled water. We're going to go to the bare minimum, maybe even grow some of our own vegetables. But we're going to get to a place where we're at the bare minimum. And then we're going to decide what is important, what we can live with and what we can live without. Those are two techniques, or that one technique, but those two methods seem to be very effective in identifying not only the problem, but also the solution that goes along with it. Now, we've talked a lot about identifying our why, at least from the point of why we should do what we do. But our why serves a bigger purpose, right? Corinza, tell me a little bit about what's the point in knowing your why? Like, what can it lead you to? What can it do for you?
Like we talked about before, it can provide some insight for you, and it can let you know if there are, what the meanings are behind why you do it, and if there's anything that's any negative thought patterns, any maladaptive thought patterns that are behind anything that's not serving you well, and help you identify those things. And that's where a counselor or someone can come in and just help you to examine things that you say that, okay, this is what keeps happening. And then when you give that information, we can look at it objectively and say, oh, well, did you consider this? And very often you'll have someone say, no, I never thought of it that way.
Okay. Latoya, I want to toss that same question what's the benefit of knowing your why?
I think knowing your why also gives you a greater understanding of yourself. Um, we mentioned it before, like we are multi-dimensional, multifaceted. And so there's a level of self-acceptance that you can develop when you know why you do certain things. We live in a time, and some people more than others experience judgment. And so knowing your why can in some ways free you from the judgment of others and allow you to walk more confidently and have a sense of self-assurance in who you are. We talk in the counseling world that universal self-acceptance, unconditional, positive self-regard that we have um, for ourselves. We want our clients to develop that as well. And so when you know your why, you actually can start to develop that unconditional positive regard for yourself. It goes beyond the environment that you're in,
Yes.
right? You can walk confidently in
Mm.
who you are wherever you are. So your why allows you, it gives you a sense of what's the word?
We
Vindication, right? Freedom,
Having
vindication,
that
and freedom. Yes.
Man, a lot of people don't recognize how important it is to know where you're headed, because there's always someone out there
Mm-hmm.
who may not understand where you're going,
Right.
and they're going to slow you down. They're going to say things to discourage you
Right.
because they may not want to do what you're doing. And so if you don't have your purpose set,
Mm-hmm.
then you may find yourself questioning your motives, questioning your goals.
Yep.
But if you know where you're going, like if you are determined and no one can stop you,
Mm-hmm.
then you may do things that I may not understand, but you're headed towards that goal. I met a young man who was a football player, and he's like, I'm headed to the NFL. I know I'm headed to the NFL. He's in high school.
That's awesome.
He's like, I know I'm headed to the NFL. So every day he's grinding. And if you dare try to tell him, man, you may want to have another plan, which, I mean, I know he's smart enough to have a backup and a degree of something that he can use when he goes to school. He's said this much. But for him, his plan is to make it to the NFL.
Yeah.
And so he has determined that he's willing to do and has done what it takes
Yeah.
to make it to that process. And he understands what's in front of him. And it's not unrealistic. And this is my question. It's not unrealistic. It is based in the reality. He does have the markers
Mm-hmm.
to make it to the NFL. I mean, he's tall, he's strong,
Yeah.
he's skilled. He's able to adapt and learn. He has some of the foundations that a lot of people do
Mm-hmm.
and won't ever make it. He has something that they don't, which is vision. He can see his future. He can taste it almost. It's tangible. He almost can grab it.
Yeah.
How important is vision to your why? Queens, I want you to jump on that one. How important is vision to your why?
No.
You want to start with me? You're going deep.
I know.
Vision. If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it's as simple as that. I worked for someone once, and she would often say, some version of that. If you never see anyone who does X, Y, Z, or if anyone who looks like you who does this thing, it's hard for you to imagine yourself doing that thing. But it's equally true if you don't have in your mind where you want to go, where you want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no starter.
It is. Yeah. You just remain put. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Talk to me, Latoya. I want to same question. Vision. How important is vision?
So I've often said the vision remains the same even if the picture changes.
Mm.
right? So people have goals, things that they want to achieve, and just because it does not look like you're making progress toward it, you have to start to question if you're willing to allow the picture to determine your path, right? But if you have your vision is where you want to go. And to Corinda's point, if you haven't seen anybody do it, it may be very difficult for you to picture yourself doing it. But there's a technique that, you can actually, it's a mindfulness technique where you can actually sit down in a quiet space and you can close your eyes. Sometimes you can do this in a closet, maybe in a dark room. You close your eyes and you think about where you want to see yourself in 3 to 6 months from now. And that can also help you with developing goals towards a vision if it's not fully clear yet. Some people just say, I don't want to be here in this place. Well, what does this place look like? Define it. And then stretching out your hands. What is the place that you want to be look like? What does it feel like? What does the air smell like? If you're in a room, if it's a promotion at your job, what does your office look like? So trying to visualize yourself in that place helps you to catch your vision, even though the picture in front of you, meaning your present reality, may not look like that. I think really trying to be intentional about picturing yourself in that place helps you to create very concrete vision. And then you can start to make measurable goals toward it and start to take those steps. So that's what I would say to vision, right?
Does vision have a direct correlation with the energy it takes to achieve your goal, and how so?
I would definitely say so because if you are not committed to what it is you want, then it'll be easier for people to influence you, right? So we talked a little bit earlier about whether people agree with the decisions you make, or people maybe trying to sway you. You'll be a little bit more easily swayed if you're not as committed to the vision that you have, or if you don't have a vision, so you're kind of just bouncing around different ideas, different things. But really being intentional and asking yourself, is this really what I want? And then why do I really want it? Is this what I want, or is this what somebody else wants for me?
Hmm.
So
And so it's so important when we start off on this journey, we may be able to see somewhat of a picture.
mhm,
And that can give us energy temporarily, to get started.
right.
But when you've tapped into the real vision and the real energy, when you get excited, you can't wait to wake up
Mhm,
and start the process in that moment. You see the success.
mhm,
I remember starting my own practice, and I remember, really nervous about it. I had one client. And then every day was, am I gonna really do this? Can I really do this? I almost felt like my one client was just pitying me. They liked me. They didn't want, they did like me. I had worked with them prior. They found me. Was one of the main reasons why I was like, yo, I can do this. But every time I'm like, I see a vision of a real practice, but right now I'm not sure. But as my practice grew,
yeah,
as I started seeing more people from all different walks of life and was able to help those people, my confidence built, the energy built, the vision started to solidify,
yeah,
and the energy level is just automatic almost. It's like,
yeah,
yes, I know what I'm doing. Yes, I'm actually thinking of other things to do
mhm,
because I've already reserved the energy to do the thing that I started out doing. And now that we're doing social media and some other things, because I'm assured that I have the energy, the focus, the knowledge to move forward. So in vision, in understanding your vision towards your why, does motive need to be considered? I saw this, maybe it was a TikTok, but it was someone in business. And he says, if you're in business to make money, you're going to be out of business pretty soon. But if you're in business to change the world, you'll never have to worry about money. And something about that resonated with me. I remember in college, you know, how everyone kind of has to find a way to earn money to kind of take care of their needs. So you may have some guys who cut hair, some girls who do hair. You got some guys that sells colognes or body stuff. Whatever. People can get really really creative. I had a friend who sold clothes. His mom owned a boutique, up north, and she would send him clothes to sell. And I remember I had bought a pair of jeans from him, and I watched them one good time, and these jeans just completely fell apart. It was not my fault. They just completely fell apart. And I'm thinking like I bought these jeans out the back of a trunk. Ain't no way I'm getting my money back. But I just wanted to bring it to his attention. I was like, yo, homie, you sold me these jeans and they are garbage. I watched them one time and look how they turn. And thinking that was just going to be the end of it. My man was like, yo, hold on. I'm sorry about that. Not only did he give my money back, but he also ordered me another pair of jeans and he made sure that they were of quality. Something about that resonated with me. And I'm telling you, from then on, he was my go-to guy for, buying clothes. I would order stuff from his mom's boutique all the time because I felt I could trust him. His purpose wasn't just to make money, even though he was a college student. He really believed in his fashion and his stance, his purpose, and he wanted to make sure he did a quality job. And so, motive, I think, is a crucial part in knowing your why. And I just want Corinza and Latoya to talk a little bit about motives. How do you make sure that your motive is in the right place, and what is a good motive to have with your why?
Well, motive is somewhat synonymous with why. It's your motivation. It's, what is the thing that's driving you? What is the thing that is, what's the impetus behind your decision, your actions? So, like Latoya said earlier, why you do something it's as important as the thing itself. Because if you're doing it because someone has told you this is what you should do, but do you want to? If you're only doing it because someone else told you to do it, that might be problematic. If you're doing it because it's, well, I'm in this business because my family is in this business, but do you want to be in this business? That is, it's very important because, and to your point about energy, it will determine how much energy you put into something. Because if you're doing it because someone else has told you you should, or you're doing it because your family is in this business and you really don't want to do it, you're going to do it half-heartedly. You're not going to put your all into it. And if you do, there may be resentment that accompanies that. So absolutely, the motive is important. And like I said, in some ways, the motive and the why are the same. But knowing
they got to link up.
Is key.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
But again, what we talked about that freedom of knowing. When you know why you're doing something, it doesn't matter. Like the client we talked about who said he's going to be in the NFL. If he is dedicated, he's committed, and that is his vision, and he knows why he's doing it, it doesn't matter that somebody else is telling him you're not going to do this, or you need to have a backup plan. He is committed, and in his mind, he knows that is his thing. So if you know why, there is, like I said, we were talking about that freedom that comes along with you being served, no matter what everybody else or anybody else thinks, you're served of this thing.
I love it. Latoya, what are your thoughts?
I would also add to that, determining what, in looking at the motivating factor, is it positive or is it negative, right? Because if I am motivated from a place of revenge, or I'm motivated to get back at somebody or to prove somebody wrong, once you've accomplished whatever it is that you're seeking to do, so once your why has been fulfilled, where do you go from there? Right? So there has to be something else beyond the sense of accomplishment. It goes back to your point with regarding starting a business. If you're going into business for money, what happens when you are no longer in business? Now where do you go from here? Right? So is it positive or is it negative? Is my motivating factor something that is positive or is it something that is negative? Right? The young man that's gonna play football, his motivating factor, he's confident, he's embracing, this is a part of who he is, right? Football just allows him to exercise that's an addition to who he is. He gets to kind of showcase that athleticism, that analytical thinking, because football is more than just a sport. It's a lot in football. So that football gives him an opportunity to do that, right? So if you're looking at why you're doing it and if it's positive or negative, once you accomplish the vision or whatever the goal may be, if you have a negative purpose for doing it, where do we go from here? So there has to be something bigger. And if you're struggling trying to find out what your bigness is, look at what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
What are the things that you feel like you're flowing really rapidly in the current? When you're doing it, it energizes you. Like for you counseling, it energizes you. You never run out of ideas, right? So what are the things that you're passionate about, and can you align your motivating factors to those things?
Right.
And maybe do something bigger and tap into your bigness.
All right. So as we wrap this series up of understanding your why, and we're going to kind of dove in. Some of these are just introductions to topics that we're going to hit every Monday, 5:30. We're going to hit this up. But as we kind of hone in on the overall feature of understanding your um, why does it seem like some people's why is clear? I dare say better, but clearer than others. Why does it seem like some people just have obvious whys and others have hidden whys?
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about: vision, motive. Some people are very clear about what they want, but then I think maybe some people were raised thinking a certain way, and or maybe they were given a why, but it's not really their why. You know, you're gonna do this because that's what we do. You know, that's what we've always done. And so it may seem like they're clear, but they might not really be. But there are some who may just have, like the aspiring NFL player. His is clear. He's very clear about what he wants. He's determined. And some people are like that. When you know what you want to do, when I decided to join the Army, it wasn't a popular decision in my, it just wasn't popular. Like what? Especially because of me, because I was the one who needed to get my nails and feet done every week or every other week, get my hair done. And so when I said I was going to the Army, but I did it. 20 years, it was clear, and then I was done. You know, Sometimes you just have a thing that you know you need to do for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be clear to anyone else. It's just got to be clear to you.
I love it. So sometimes your journey may have multiple roads, and the road you on may end, and that's okay because you got to your destination in a short period of time. And I think you need to understand. So, Chad, I really want you to understand that because I know a lot of times we have things in our lives that end, and we've identified our whole world around those things. And then we find ourselves not knowing what to do when it's time to pivot. It's like the man who was the football hero, in high school, but didn't make it to college, and he continues to live his glory years in high school, or of the time where you landed a great job, but now it's time for you to move on, but you still holding on to the thought of when you landed this job. There are times when the road ends, and being pliable, being able to adjust is crucial. Um, I like that. Latoya, what about you? What are some other reasons why people may find themselves having a different journey to their why than someone that may be in their counterpart?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's also a matter of conditioning. Sometimes just living life circumstances can condition us, and we can believe to be, we can begin to believe the the picture that's in front of us. Like this is what continues. This is what I continue to experience. This is the hand that I continue to be dealt. And so we begin to believe that this is going to be our permanent place. And so we become conditioned to believe that. And I would caution or even encourage you to change the channel. And that's why, I love the idea of changing the channel in your mind, right? Because you can kind of get caught in that loop. Like this is gonna be my reality, this is gonna be my forever. But it only is if you allow it to be, right? Your present circumstance doesn't determine your long-term outcome. And so you can start to challenge your own thinking. And I think comparison being the thief of joy, we look at other people and why am I not experiencing
Yes.
what they're experiencing? Why am I not? But we don't know what's happening on their side of the fence, right?
Right.
We can compare ourselves all day. And so I think that's when we really do kind of need to be selfish and become a little more inward focused and start to dig more into ourselves, pay more attention to what are the things that I enjoy doing. That's why I said discovering your passions, those things that you're naturally good at. You never know where they can take you in life, right? Um, and those things you may also align, they may also align with the vision for your life. And your vision also can align with your motivations. So all of those things can just come together very organically.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yes, man, you hit the nail on the coffin, right on the head. I love that. I love that approach. I love that thought process. If I could just say anything to that, is it's not the destination, it's the journey. Sometimes we miss the beauty of the struggle because we're just so focused on getting to the end. But it's the journey that can be the actual fun part, the beautiful part. To know and learn and to grow, and the experience of overcoming, which makes you build the stamina, the strength,
Yep.
the courage that you need to share with someone else. Because at the end of your journey, you want to make sure you leave some type of legacy. And I think that's the reason we even start with the why, is because we have this need to leave something behind for our fellow man. And you want to be remembered for something good.
Yeah.
And so as we go through this journey of discovering your why, I want you to join us. We would love to see your comments in the chat while we're in the live so that we can answer your questions. We really want this to be a powerful experience where you may receive information that you can use to enhance your life. I want to thank Corinza and Latoya for their dope insight. I'm dating myself. Your dope insight, and just want to give you guys the last word before we end this live. We'll start with you, Corinza.
Well, I mean, I hope you join us. We thank you for tuning in, but we hope to have some deeper discussions as the weeks go on.
I echo the same sentiments. I would say make sure to just go ahead and leave those chats so we have an opportunity to answer some questions you may have. We'd love to see you guys again soon. Being here with John and Corinza has been great. This has been a wonderful first group, and I'm looking forward to continue to do a deep dive and learn more about our audience and learn more about as we journey on this with you guys, just hearing all the growth that you guys are going to have as well. So, yeah.
All right. A touch of peace out. Thank you, guys.